Trying to look up background info on the bump, so I guess I'll polish it later. You all still know about the Adult Swim sign-off bumper, "The Dawn is Your Enemy"? There's a reason why they don't show it anymore. The last day the bump was ever used as a sign-off, instead of the normal running time estimated 9 seconds, it ran for an extended period of time, until the automatic services were overtaken by manual operation. We all know that sound that shook our childhood or teen years, the resonation metal, the rumbles, the sound of metal scrapping against metal. Feel free to look it up if you're a bit rusty. Now, when the audio is cut, it doesn't sound complete. It's not finished, not over. The producers of AS and CN were purposely cutting off the rest of the sound, and for a good reason. The rest that followed was the exact reason why you'll never see this bumper again on the air. Once again, it's supposedly only run for about 9 seconds, until it's a rough transcript of the usual audio, resonating metal, followed by a rumble, followed by a scrapping metal, and another rumble, and another bumper. But you would put together with that, nothing rings a bell, right? Exactly. This is the part where they utilize effectively to scare off children that have still turned to Adult Swim. It gives the adults goosebumps because it's that good. It's closely related with the hammer clinks in the William Street production card in Nightmare Fuel. Getting back to the topic, usually a Cartoon Network employee would enter the control room and left it by an Adult Swim crew member to take over for the day. It wasn't exactly quite the case that day. However, the usual man whose schedule to cue a sign-on and such programming for NC for some reason did not start up the day's schedule. No one knows if he did this purposely, and whether or not this contract was terminated. This was the least of the problems Cartoon Network had at the time. That followed were the same common 9 seconds and the extended 2-minute broadcast of something most horrifying audio to ever be seen on public television. The metal continued to resonate, and the scraping continued. Slowly and uncontrollably sobbing came from clear. Not one person was crying, but a multitude of people were screaming and yelling. As the metal was scrapped and the screaming grew louder, soon you could hear the slicing of flesh, the grinding of bones, and the gushing of blood, and the guttural death rattles of people dying. All across the United States, millions of children and adults were being exposed to what sounded like barbaric mass murder. People were calling in all across the country, crying or screaming or begging for it to be turned off. Something kept their eyes attached to the screen and kept them from listening to the broadcast. People assumed that the control room had finally gotten into, and the bump was shut down, ending the traumatic experience no one could undoubtedly forget. In the last few moments, as the resonating metal grew in unbearable volume, the channel was then showed a peeking sun winking at the viewer, and then the channel cut to the bars and tones. How was Cartoon Network going to cover this up? No one really knows their exact tactic to this day. Multiple theories have been thought of, ranging from preemptive cease and desist to possibly news articles submittable viewer hypnosis over the following weeks. While the public evidence does not officially exist, Cartoon Network officials do acknowledge a hijacking of the channel's frequency on that day, but to go no further in the details. All 8 morning bumps, including the TDIYE, were replaced with the corresponding ones from the 1:30 a.m. time slot. Word is, however, that somewhere deep in the Onion site, possibly on via Tor, is recording off the bump played that morning. The question is asked amongst a few other members who remember how this Cartoon Network got the audio in the first place.